This is part 2 of the ultimate Porsche Cayman Buyer's Guide. In this guide, I'm going to talk to you about the Porsche Cayman GT4 and the Porsche Cayman GTS. They're both cars that I couldn't talk about in my first buyer's guide because those cars were out of my budget. They still are out of my budget, but I think they're great cars. Enjoying life and cars to the max!
2 years ago, I bought a 2009 manual Porsche Cayman S 987 Gen 2 with 40,000 miles on the clock. At the time, I made a buyer's guide video which can be found over here, which summarised my buying decisions at the time. Since then, through this channel, I've got closer to a lot more Caymans, so join me in this updated Cayman buyer's guide where I focus on the more expensive Caymans, and you can decide which Cayman is right for you. In price descending order, let's start at the top of the food chain, and that's the Cayman GT4. There's no denying that this is the alpha male of the Cayman lineup. Right now, if you're looking to buy a manual GT4, you simply need to choose between a used 981 or a brand new 718. If you prefer your Cayman equipped with flappy paddles, well, Porsche's finally listened, and for the first time on a GT4, the 718 will feature PDK. You'll just have to wait that bit longer for your build slot into 2020. Both the 981 and the 718 GT4 have a 6-cylinder naturally aspirated engine. You won't find any 4-cylinder bangers here. Andreas Preuninger would just have a fit. The 981 has a 3.8 litre block pumping out 380 brake horsepower, and the 718 has a 4 litre block pumping out 415. They both deliver 310 pound-foot of torque. The 981 GT4 revs to 7,800 RPM, while the 718 GT4 gives you 200 extra RPM of joy, reaching 8,000 RPM. However, don't get too excited about the extra horses in the 718 GT4. As the car is heavier than its 981 counterpart, all that extra power in the 718 GT4 is simply spent pulling that extra weight, which means performance-wise, they both come out with the same 0 to 60 time of 4.4 seconds. I've been lucky enough to drive a 981 GT4, thanks Eddie, and I can confirm that the 3.8 litre block in that car sounds amazing. Those who were invited to the 718 GT4 launch at the Knockhill circuit in Scotland, they all said the same thing about that engine. The 718 GT4 engine just doesn't have the same high fidelity punch as the 981 GT4. And as any GT4 owner knows, it's simply not about the spec sheet of the car. It's about the way the package is delivered. And for me, the soundtrack counts. So I prefer the block in the 981 GT4. While we're talking about high fidelity, the 718 GT4 was showcased to the world from within the EU, meaning all the launch cars were fitted with law-abiding particulate filters. These filters, though good for the environment, choke the vocal cords of the 718 GT4. Not only does a 3.8 litre block sound better in the 981, the exhaust system sounds better than the 981 too. Strangely, for a car made in Germany, it may actually be the US market which gets the best sounding 718 GT4. Emissions regulations are more relaxed in the US, so it's highly likely the particulate filters will not feature on the 718 GT4s destined for the US market. So the cars will be that bit lighter, and Porsche will save a bit of money without fitting the particulate filters. So just bear in mind, we probably haven't heard the best that the 718 GT4 can offer yet, and that's without aftermarket modifications from Soul Performance and Fab Speed. If I had the money, personally I'd opt for the 981 GT4 over the 718. Well, from a historical point of view, I like the fact that was the first GT Cayman. It's that little bit more raw than the 718 GT4, and it's got that beautiful sounding engine and exhaust package. There's no performance advantage of the 718 GT4, and even though you get better aero, a more modern interior, and the chance to spec your own car, it's not enough to tempt me from the 981. I haven't driven the 718 GT4, but a number of the reviews have suggested the steering and the clutch have been softened to make the car appeal to a wider audience. The new GT4 softer than the old GT4. What's all that about? I think Porsche really are going to make a 718 GT4 RS. Pretty sure about that one. We'll just have to keep watching this space. Dropping down a rung on the price ladder, we've reached the next two Caymans I'd like to talk about, and that's the 981 GTS and the 718 GTS. And the story here is pretty similar to that with the GT4s. The 718 GTS has got more power, delivers 360 brake horsepower instead of the 981's 340, and it's got a wider power band thanks to the turbos, making it a more capable track car. However, nothing comes for free in the world of Porsche, and there is a price to pay for those extra horses. Remember that scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off when he skipped school and the teacher's doing the register? Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. That's the monotonic voice of the 4-cylinder banger in a 718. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. both cars have got lovely interiors, and that's what I love about the Cayman GTS. The options on these cars make them really special. Furthermore, I've got to give credit to Porsche for making a 2.5 litre banger rev to 7,500 RPM. That's only 100 short of the 3.4 litre naturally aspirated block in a 981. That's a high red line for a turbocharged car. So which one would I pick? I'm going old school again. It's all about the 981 GTS for me. I want that experience. It's not about the spec sheet, it's about the overall package. Now I know technically I'm middle-aged, so please let me know in the comments if you think the 718 GTS is better. There is no right and wrong technically, it's whatever suits you. Now let's take one step further down the Cayman ladder, and we're going to discuss the 981 base against the Cayman 987 Gen 2 S, which is actually the car I own. I've pitted these two cars together as currently they can be had for pretty similar money. If you haven't seen the video with Sonny in his base Cayman, do check that out over here. He let me drive his car, and for everyday use I'd probably say it's a better car than my Cayman S. The question you need to ask yourself is whether you're going to be using all those extra horses on a day-to-day basis. The base Cayman has 270 horses, the Cayman S has got 320. There's no need to worry about 4-cylinder bangers here. Personally, I think I've changed my tune a bit. I'd have a 981 base with sports exhaust over a 987 Cayman S without the sports exhaust. I'll say this again, the Cayman isn't just about the spec sheet, it's about the overall package. If I could have a 987 Gen 2 Cayman S with sports exhaust, then I'd go for that one, but there's so few of them around on the market, and I've inquired at my local Porsche dealer. They want £2,700 to fit the PSE option, and for me, that's a bit too rich at the moment. I've spoken about the 987 Gen 1 and Gen 2s in my earlier videos, so if you want to know more about those, check the video out over here. There's a Cayman to suit all budgets, don't worry about that. Enjoying life and cars to the max. See ya. I'd like to take this moment just to thank all the subscribers to this channel, all the comments you've been putting, the guys that have been reaching out to me at maxrevscars@gmail.com. This channel is all about all of us. I really appreciate those that have reached out. And Tom, I'm so sorry I haven't managed to feature the car that you sent me in the post, but I've got it with me in the suitcase. I'll try and feature this later on. I just forgot to bring it out here now on this balcony over here. Thank you so much for sending me that 981 Cayman S, which is similar to the car that I've got. I haven't forgotten about you, nor all the other people that have contacted me through the comments section and through email.
Tom, thank you so much for sending me this car. I've had this for about 6 months and I've never figured out when I could make a video and feature this car. It's a blue 987 Gen 2 Cayman S. Thanks for sending that to me, Tom. I haven't forgotten you. Thank you.